Preparing for MBA exams can be overwhelming with so many concepts and questions to cover. So that is why I created a bundle of 5 questions which have been most repeated in your TEE along with their concise exam ready answers designed to save your time and boost your confidence. We will be looking at what to write for these 5 high important questions. And how did I make this list? By carefully analyzing the past term and examination papers so that you won't have to start from scratch. You don't have the time to go through this whole video to find out the answer? No problem. Log into www.anusclassroom.com and purchase the concise, revision friendly answer scripts that I have prepared for these 5 questions. It is ideal for some serious last minute learning. Explain in detail the features of planning and the steps involved in the planning process in organizations. Discuss the importance of planning function in an organization with relevant examples. Let us start with the meaning of planning. Planning is basically deciding in advance what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Who is going to do it? These kind of questions will be answered through planning. You can think of it like checking Google Maps before a road trip. You don't just hope in the car or you don't just hope in a rickshaw and hope for the best, right? Planning helps an organization anticipate the future events, spot opportunities that they have, and avoid unnecessary detours. Now, coming to the features of planning. First of all, it is goal oriented. Everything revolves around achieving organization's objectives. Second, it is a decision making tool. It guides how we allocate resources and prioritize our task. Third, it is flexible and time bound. Plans can adapt if conditions change. It is not a strict, rigid thing. It's not like you make a plan and no matter what you stick to it. It rarely happens like that, right? They are tied to specific time frames as well, like strategic or operational plans. It is also integrative. That means it pulls different departments of the organization together towards the same direction. What is that direction? Meeting organization's objectives. That is the direction towards which planning pulls all the departments of the organization. Planning is also iterative. This is another feature of planning. You don't do planning once and forget it, right? You review your plans, you adjust them time and again. Plus, good planning relies on communication as well as proper resource allocation to make it all happen. Now, let us walk through the planning process. What are the steps in planning? First of all, we have to set clear objectives. What kind of objectives should be set while we are planning? Objectives that are clear, measurable, as well as realistic. You don't set an objective which can never be achieved. An impossible objective will not be found in any decent or in any proper planning. Next, once we have set the objectives, we have to analyze our environment. You have to look at the internal strengths and the weaknesses as well as external opportunities and threats. And once we have analyzed the environment, we develop strategies. That is, we decide how to tackle challenges and seize opportunities. Then comes implementation. We break our strategies into actionable steps and implement those steps one by one. While we are implementing the steps, naturally we have to allocate resources, like we'll have to assign people or budgets or technology to implement or in order to complete those actions. And also we monitor and evaluate. That is the last step of planning. It means we have to constantly check the progress of how where we are heading and adjust if at all needed. And throughout this whole process, we cannot forget the importance of communication and coordination. This is what you can say like a binding factor, which makes sure that everybody is on the same page, everybody is fighting the same battle. And why does all of this matter? What is the importance of planning? You cannot overstate the importance of planning because it is what gives the organization its direction. It is what reduces uncertainty and encourages a proactive, innovative thinking within the organization. It ensures resources are used efficiently and also makes coordination smoother. It also sets the stage for control because if you don't have a plan, then you cannot measure the performance. Like, take for example Google's Project Oxygen. Here, they analyzed what made their best employees thrive, and then they planned hiring as well as training around those traits. Apple's product launches. Behind every shiny iPhone is a meticulous planning, research, as well as testing. Look at McDonald's global expansion. How their consistent quality worldwide is no accident, right? It is the result of very careful site selection, supply chain planning, as well as training. So, the bottom line is this: failing to plan is planning to fail. Think of planning as your organization's Google Map. It will keep you on track, it will help you avoid potholes, and also get you to your destination faster. So, that is planning in a nutshell, its features, processes, and why it is critical for success. Hey, if you're enjoying this session, take a quick moment to subscribe to Anu's Classroom and turn on notifications so you will never miss an update. Your likes, shares, and even a super thanks or sticker are little boosts of encouragement that help me keep creating and growing this channel. You got any questions, ideas, or suggestions? Drop them in the comments. I love hearing from you and I'm always here to help however I can. Now let's head back. Describe and discuss any two theories of motivation and their relevance in the present day context. So, I'm choosing to talk about the two classical motivation theories here as the answer to this question and why they still matter today. I'm talking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Heisenberg's two factor theory. First of all, let's look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Abraham Maslow said that human needs follow a ladder. At the base of the pyramid is the psychological needs, like your salary that pays for food and shelter. Next, we have safety needs, like for example, job security or a stable work environment. Then comes your social needs, a feeling of belongingness, teamwork, workplace friendships. And above that comes the esteem needs, recognition, respect, achievement, such needs. And at the very top of this pyramid is self actualization, that is, personal growth, creativity, and fulfilling one's true potential. And why is this theory still relevant? Because even today, people are not just motivated by salary alone. For example, or for training and career development, it satisfies self actualization. Publicly recognizing an employee's achievement, it feeds their esteem needs. A supportive team culture that meets their social needs. And if managers know where their employees are on this ladder, then they can create an environment that keeps people engaged. Now let's look at the second theory, that is Herzberg's two-factor theory. Herzberg found there are two types of factors for motivation. They are hygiene factors and motivators. Hygiene factors are things like salary, the policy, supervision, or working condition. They don't motivate people if they are improved, but if they are poor, it is definitely going to cause dissatisfaction. True motivators are things like achievement, recognition, responsibility, and opportunities for advancement, according to Herzberg, because these are the factors that truly drive satisfaction and performance. In today's workplaces, also, if you think about it, this theory means that we have to fix the basic issues like unfair policies or unsafe conditions, and that is going to stop complaints. But it will not energize employees. If you want to truly motivate the employees, you have to, that is, managers have to enrich their jobs, recognize their contribution, and provide opportunities for growth. Correct? Just because your office's staircase has a railing on it, which will prevent any kind of accidental falls uh, from the staircase, or just because there's a fire hydrant which will make sure that water is sprinkled, or they have kept some fire hydrants over here and there, which will make sure that in case of an emergency, in case of a fire accident, definitely you will have some means of saving yourself. Does it motivate you to go to office? No, correct. But if it is not there, then you will be scared also. Correct? So that is the hygiene factor. But if your team members appreciate you, they recognize your work, then that will motivate. So that is the motivators according to this theory of Herzberg. So what is the big takeaway here on these both two theories? You should understand that both Maslow as well as Herzberg reminds us what motivation is. It is not just about money or perks, but rather it is about understanding humans' needs and creating meaningful, growth oriented work. Organizations that get this right will see better performance, better innovation, as well as happier teams. How does communication play an important role in an organization? Discuss the barriers to effective communication and how they can be minimized. To answer this question, we have to talk about why communication is the lifeblood of any organization. Communication, what is communication? It is how information, ideas, and instructions flow between employees at all levels. When it is done well, everyone will understand their goals, their tasks, and what is expected of them. And this will lead to better coordination, productivity, and decision making. It also builds teamwork, keeps employees engaged, and creates a positive work culture. But there are barriers that can trip us up. What are they? Like semantic barriers. Have you ever had someone use some jargon that you didn't understand? Maybe even in Anu's classroom, I might have used some jargons unknowingly. I tried to avoid them, max, but still, which you may not have understood. And sometimes the same word having different meanings, it can cause confusion. So these are all semantic barriers. Well, how to fix them? What is the fix? We have to use clear, simple language and make sure everyone shares the same definition. Maybe through, guidelines or training, we can do that. Similarly, there is another barrier, psychological barrier. It is the people's attitudes, emotions, or beliefs, which also has the power to distort images. If an employee fears criticism, then they will not speak up, right? So that is psychological barrier. What is the solution to this? We have to create an open, inclusive environment where opinions are welcomed, and we have to also build active listening skills. Then the next barrier, organizational barrier. Think about rigid hierarchies. What happens there? Messages can get stuck between levels, right? So what should a manager do in this case? So as to overcome this barrier, they have to open the channels of communication vertically as well as horizontally so that every voice actually counts. Another barrier is interference. The noisy office, competing messages on Slack and email, which one to choose, which message to take, right? These are interferences. So, how do we avoid it? We have to make sure we choose the right communication channel for the right message. If something is communicated better in written, put it as an email or put it as a message. If something is communicated better through face to face communication, do that. Choose your medium wisely. If something needs to be tracked, like there has to be a log, choose an email rather than say a Teams or Zoom call, which could get overwritten or which could get cleaned up after a while, right? Even WhatsApp nowadays have no that 7 day, 3 day, 2 day message retention policy. I think we can update it, right? Usually we can set it as 7 days or 90 days like that. After which the old messages will get cleaned up. Teams and other platforms also have that. After a while, depending upon your organization, they'll get cleaned up. So what will happen? Your conversation will get lost. So such things you put it as an email. Choose the proper medium. Okay. Then another barrier is cultural differences. Obviously, we are working in an MNC kind of a culture most of the time. We are having global teams, different customs or values will be there for each member of the team. Rarely we can see that two people from the same locality are working. Even if you say there are two Malayalis in a team, one might be from Thrissur, the other might be from Trivandrum. Totally different customs, same language, same state, but still Right. So that cultural difference is bound to happen, and that also affects communication. It is also a barrier to effective communication. So how do we do? What do we do to overcome it? How do we minimize it? We have to promote cultural sensitivity and inclusion within our teams, within the people we work with. How can you do that? Through training, right? We can bridge the gaps using training. So, in summary, we can say that communication is not simply passing information, but rather it is a kind of like a glue or that binding agent which holds a team together. And when managers minimize the barriers that can come up while communicating, we can the managers can build collaboration, engagement, as well as productivity. So simply put, we can say that clear communication turns a group of employees into a high performance team. Briefly discuss the factors contributing to the choice of a structure in an organization. Describe any two types of organizational structures and their advantages and disadvantages. So, what are the factors that could influence the choice of an organization's structure? Size and complexity. If it is a larger firm, then it might need more hierarchy or specialization. Or if it is a small firm, maybe there are 5 or 6 employees or less than 10 or 20 employees, it will not need that high of that many levels of departmentalization or hierarchy compared to maybe 1 lakh, 2 lakh or 80,000, 8,000 or 2,000, 3,000 employees. Correct. So size and complexity of the organization definitely influences the choice of our organization structure. Similarly, the nature of the products or services that we offer. If it is a manufacturing firm, then it will need a different type of structure. Whereas if it is an IT firm or a consulting firm, it will need a different type of a structure. Also, degree of decentralization. If it is a centralized organization, then we will need a top-down structure. Whereas if it is a decentralized organization, or if we are moving towards, if we want a decentralized kind of an organization, then we'll have to make sure that people take shared decisions. So that kind of a structure has to come. Also, the culture of the organization as well as its values also influence its choice of structure. Do we value collaboration? Do we value communication? Do we value teamwork above everything else? Then the culture that we choose should align with those needs. So, depending upon all of these factors that could influence the choice of our organization structure, we can talk about two main types of organizational structures. First is the functional structure, the second is the matrix structure. So, what are the advantages of a functional structure? It will have very clear authority, like the chain of command will be very, very clear. Specialization will be there, and therefore they will have an efficient resource use as well. But it comes with certain disadvantages also, like poor cross department communication. And because of the specialization, there could also be silo kind of a mentality. That is, the finance department will be one silo, the HR will be another, the IT department will be another. That cross communication between these departments, that could become a little, that could uh, be what you can say, that could take one step back. So that is a disadvantage of this functional structure. Then we have another type of structure, that is matrix structure. This is more flexible, therefore it is also more efficient in terms of resource use, and also there will be improved cross functional communication between the departments in matrix structure when you compare it with the functional structure. But here also, because of this flexible nature, role confusions could be there. Authority conflicts might happen between the project and the functional managers. So such disadvantages are also there. I'm just talking about a few so that you are pointed to the right direction. So, what is the key takeaway here for us? The key takeaway is that we have to always choose a structure that fits the goals, the environment, and culture of our organization. And we have to always keep in mind that flexibility is the key to long term success. What is staffing? Discuss its importance and describe and discuss the various sources of recruitment and their advantages and disadvantages. So, Staffing is simply the process of placing the right people in the right jobs at the right time, correct? It is not just about hiring, please don't think like that. It is about matching a person's skill, their knowledge, and attitude to what the organization needs. Without proper staffing, even the best of strategies or the best of technology that is there within the organization can go to waste. It will fail. So, definitely, why is this staffing important? First of all, it ensures there is efficient performance. When people are suited to their jobs, they will perform better. Second, it helps with optimal resource utilization. Recruitment and training cost time, money, all of these will be utilized properly. So hiring wisely will ensure a better return on our investment. Third, it builds high morale. Hiring people who fit the culture makes the teams happier and more productive. And finally, it also ensures efficient use of technology. Skilled employees can fully leverage the tools as well as the systems that are there with the organization. Now let us look at the sources of recruitment, which actually fall into two broad categories. First, we have the internal source. It includes promotion, transfers, and rehires. These candidates already know the company because they are within the company. So they already know the company culture, how things are done in the organization. So onboarding them into another role, into a higher role, will definitely be quicker. And the morale is often also improved when an employee sees growth opportunities. Like, right? See, for example, two people are there. If your colleague gets promoted, say for then naturally you will have a tendency to think that maybe if I perform like him, I also stand a chance to get promoted, to get that corner office. Correct. So that is why we say an internal promotion definitely improves an employee's morale. But the downside is that there is limited talent pool. Fresh perspectives don't come in. Right? It's the old employees. So the old mentality, the, there is nothing new coming into the table. So that is one drawback. So we have another source of recruitment which can eliminate this drawback. That is external source. This includes job boards, social media, recruitment agencies, campus placements, employee referrals, all of these. These all sources they bring in a larger talent pool than the internal sources could ever think of. It will help organizations find diverse skills and new ideas which can spark innovation. But the problem is that it can be time consuming. It is also a little bit more expensive. The staffing process, the recruiting process becomes a little bit more expensive. And the new hires may also need longer training to adapt to the culture of the organization. When you switch jobs, think about it. Now, you might have been working in with the organization, with a particular organization, maybe for 2, 3, 4 years. You would have already gotten a hang of how things get done over here, what works, what doesn't work, how the kind of managers you have, every kind of things you would have learned by about that organization. Hmm? Now you switch, it becomes difficult for you also, right? You will have an initial time. You will take some time, some amount of time to get used to how things are done, to figure out the organization in general. Correct? Similarly, the organization also will take time to figure out how you are as well. So that is the problem with this external source of recruitment. But to conclude, we can say one thing for sure, that staffing is not just filling vacancies, it is building the backbone of your organization. A smart mix of internal as well as external recruitment creates a workforce that is skilled, motivated, as well as ready to meet the organization's goals.